Hello and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence,
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
and today we're talking about Werewolves Within. Cue the howling, Meg.
I don't think I'd make a very good werewolf.
I think you would be just fine.
Oh, thanks.
How are you?
Good. I'm kind of excited because this is one of the first times we got to see a movie before a lot of people got to see it.
Yeah.
So this is exciting.
We got to see the premiere at Tribeca last week in New York City, and what a treat. And so just so you know, Werewolves Within, we are going to get into spoilers, not right off the top here, so be warned, but it has limited release starting tomorrow, and then it'll be on VOD starting July 2nd, so next week.
Yes. So no excuses. You have to find a way to watch it.
Yes.
And it was really neat to see it at Tribeca. We were outside. There was a beautiful view the movie was so good that I didn't even get to look at the view that much, but we were on the water, and beforehand, the director talked, and after there was a Q&A. And so it just makes it like a really full experience. It was so fun to see a movie with jump scares and people like jumping out of their seats.
Yes, it's been well, and also I think because, as we've said, it's been so long since we've had this movie theater experience, and I realized this wasn't a proper movie theater, but just seeing a movie with other people, it was like, oh, this is what it's like. This is why we love it so much, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I can get really cynical and grumpy sometimes and be like, people won't get off their phones and people are snoring and stuff like that. But then there are these great moments like this where it just feels very insular and you feel like you're part of this kind of community experiencing this, and it makes you feel good. So it was a really neat experience, and I would like to go back to Tribeca sometime and watch more movies. This is the only one we got to watch, but I know there were several other movies that I heard were good in the horror genre.
Exactly. And what an exciting time for horror. So, okay, so now we're going to start getting to spoilers, everyone, just so you know. And we're going to get into it. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you want to get spoiled, be prepared. Sam Richardson, who I have not seen Veep, but apparently he's on Veep. Have you seen Veep?
I guess so. No, I've never watched Veep, but I know a lot of people like it. And yeah, he's from that, and he was in Promising Young Woman, right?
Yeah.
So his star is rising.
He was great. I also saw that he was a producer on Werewolves Within. He is coming to this small town, and he is a park ranger. And he meets the local post office worker, and they're just freaking adorable. Like, I ship them immediately.
I know, me too. It doesn't take me much, but yeah, they're adorable. And they start talking about Walden, and I'm just like, okay, this is
I know,
cute.
Done and done. Like, if you bond over literature, like, I'm done.
That's how I want every ship to start. Yes. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say her name is Milana
Weintraub. Yeah, Milana Weintraub. Yeah.
And she is amazing. Like, people know her as the AT&T girl, apparently, but I know her as this great actress from Werewolves Within.
Yeah, no, she's so good in this, and she gets to be sort of all sorts of different things at once. And I really, really liked her in this. I think she was perfectly cast. In fact, I think everyone was perfectly cast.
Yeah.
But I love, I say all the time, I love a good Agatha Christie setup where we have all the strangers thrown together and having to figure out how to survive. And that's how this movie starts.
Yes. And so we get introduced to the town, the characters, and everybody is perfectly introduced. You can sum up, you get to know the gist of who they are just based on how they're framed, what they're doing in the shot. And then, of course, the dialogue, but just the direction is so clear and beautiful. You just know, like, okay, I know exactly who this person is based on how they're being shot right now.
Right. It was fun to see Josh Rubin get to have more of a budget to play with. Scare Me, I absolutely love. I mean, we have talked about that many times, but he had more money and he had more subjects and he had just, I don't know, this cool world to like explore and showcase, and it came across so well, and it
Yeah.
felt like this very real town in this very real world.
Exactly. Even though a lot of the maybe the comedy or the subject matter is heightened, it still was based in reality, as you said, and it was like fully realized. Who is your favorite peripheral character? I mean, I don't know that anybody's really
Oh,
peripheral because they really all play a major part, but did you have a favorite?
yeah. Oh, good question. I really liked the uh Catherine Curtin's character. She is running the inn, and they find her dead husband, and I felt like she felt very real to me, and she felt very I don't know, fully realized, and she was often kind of the straight man, but also could be very funny. And we got to watch her watching the movie with her family, which was really cool. So I think that kind of like endeared me to the character as well.
No, I love her too, and she ends up, even though maybe typically in movies or in horror, like this older woman who lost her husband would just be seen as a victim or, like the widow character and just sad, but she ends up being a badass and she's
She
awesome.
does. I know. That's the thing. At the end, she kind of saves the day. And normally she would have been killed off already at that point. So yeah, that was very cool and unexpected. And I really like that.
So spoiler alert, but does that mean that she's our final girl?
I think she's our final girl. Yeah.
Holy,
Because we know that those two guys survive at the end, but they don't count. So yeah, she's definitely our final girl.
okay, that's amazing.
So now that we're kind of getting into the ending, how did you feel about who well, while we were watching it, were you trying to like go, okay, who's the werewolf? I assume everyone watching it is thinking that.
Yes. And so that's the thing I was worried about is like, wait, is this going to be a bait and switch and there is no werewolf? And
Yeah, I
there
thought
there
that
kept
too.
being little hints and red herrings and you're like, "Oh, this could be totally fake or it could just be that guy or what's going on? Is it Sam Richardson and like he's our protagonist but the whole time we've been rooting for him and we shouldn't have been." But of course, I love the twist that it ended up being his love interest and and Harvey was right. I can't think of Harvey's character's name right now, but
Oh
he was like
yes.
it's this sibling and
She
they're the
said
werewolf.
she was like the seventh
Yeah,
born, which
yeah.
apparently is like a I never heard that legend before,
No, so
that
we'll have to look
lore
into that
before.
more.
Yeah. No, I love that. And then this kind of great thing where she sort of exposes what we all were enjoying, which was the ship. And she's like, this perfect girl doesn't exist. And of course, in the beginning of the movie, she's sort of filmed with a male gaze at one point. She likes all the same books that he likes, and we kind of got sort of intoxicated by the ship. But she's saying, hey, I'm a werewolf. I was just here messing with you all along. And it's kind of a fun usurpation of our expectations.
Yeah, I loved it. I love that it went that direction and we don't get to see female werewolves that often. I mean, I know we have ginger snaps, but you
No,
know?
I loved it. And the whole time I was like trying to figure out, and then it was very fun. It was very much like Clue, which it's been compared to, where you're like, who is it? What's going on? Like, and so it was kind of a fun mind game of like, could it be this person? No, they were in the room at this time and all that. It is too bad, we're talking about periphery characters. I did love the gay couple. They
Yeah.
were great. So it's too bad they had to die. But I guess, it was a werewolf movie.
Yeah. And there has to be some body count.
There does. I understand. Even in horror comedies, you have to have the bodies.
So I also think, I mean, I don't think it's been compared to this, but it kind of has the Burbs vibe to me
Oh yeah, it's kind
because
of that sense of humor.
there's some real stakes and some really dangerous stuff going on, but it's also kind of goofy characters and
Yes, that's a good example. Yeah, I love that. It is very Burbs.
oh, and there's a
How did
dog. R.I.P. to the
Yeah,
dog in this
I
movie.
know he doesn't last long. Um, it made me think of when Queequeg in the X-Files gets eaten and the
Oh,
leash comes back like that.
yes. I
Yeah.
remember. I also appreciated that it was, I mean, there were definitely like some Trump supporter characters and some like meth addict characters, and it
Yeah.
was bringing all of these people with differing opinions and
Yes.
goals together. And I also was pleasantly surprised that P.S. they didn't all stick together. Then they went their separate ways, and it did not end well.
Yeah, no kidding. They weren't able to sort of kumbaya through it. And then there was this whole sort of subplot about the land and fracking and like selling the land and sort of like um, people who supported it and people who didn't. And I thought that was like a very real world small town thing.
Yes.
And it kind of upped the paranoia of what was happening. And we had that scientist, and she had all these cool things in her hotel room. So she could figure out like, this is not okay. This is a werewolf. That was great. There was just so many elements that made it fun and mysterious. And I think you said it was really a mystery. It really
Yeah.
was more mystery than horror.
Yeah. And that's why I think it'll be more accessible to a wider audience, because a lot of
Yes.
times when you say, oh, go see this new horror movie, people are like, well, I don't watch horror movies. But I think this can be like a little gateway in, like, hey, it's more mystery than horror, go check it out. And
Right.
then they'll be like, oh, I like that, maybe I'll like this, and then they'll just go and we'll bring them into our world.
And then we got them forever. No, I was even thinking when I was watching it, like, I was like, I would tell my mom to watch this
Yeah.
because she doesn't necessarily like supernatural, but I think she would like the comedy and like the mystery aspect of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think for people who aren't like hardcore horror fans, they could definitely get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And
why, yeah.
I don't have any experience with the video game. I would be
No.
interested to play it now and see kind of, because I wonder, the writer was talking about, you know, adapting it, and I wonder if she was tasked with this, or
Or
this
if she
came of her
sought it
own
out. Yeah.
volition. Yeah, that's what I would be curious to know, because it's like, how do you adapt a game that, I mean, and this isn't like a cinematic game, I'm assuming it's from like the 90s, I believe.
Mhm.
So I would just be curious to see what the game is like.
I think it's fascinating when, especially when it's not like, I mean, I don't know this game, but I'm just thinking of something different, like a plot, when it's not a plot driven game. Like
Right.
how do you create a screenplay about it? Like I'm curious what the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, if that ever comes out, what is that going to
Yeah.
be? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And like, where do you begin? And you want
Yeah.
to like evoke the right feelings and stuff. So I would be curious to talk to somebody who is like a fan of the game after they see the movie, to like see if they felt a kinship with the game, like how close it sort of brings the same feelings about.
Yeah. I would love to hear that too. Also, I need to play the game now
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it'll be interesting. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
anything else you want to say about Werewolves Within?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was well directed. It the characters were really fun. It kind of brought a nostalgic feel, but also felt new, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like it had that Burbs feel, but it also felt like something we haven't seen in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the fascinating part of it, is perfectly balancing those two feelings. And what a good time. You're going to have a great time, friends, watching this, whether you get to see
Yes.
it in a theater or you rent it or own it at home. go watch Werewolves Within. We need to rank it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being you think it's a perfect movie. Meg, let's go with our first Tribeca experience. Could we have had a more perfect night?
No. And when we left, they asked us for the audience award, like what we felt, and we gave it thumbs up. So
2 thumbs up.
baby.
Oh, also I didn't say our scale. It has to be throwing axes, right? I mean, it's 10 out of 10 throwing axes.
It's definitely 10 out of 10 throwing axes. Yes, because it was fun. And when I go to the theater, I want to laugh and I want to jump scare, and I got all of it. So,
and plus we got to like witness the audience. Like I just had a theater experience. And so I'm sorry if I'm like building it up now too much to watch in a theater. Well, you can watch it at home too, but
yes, it's on VOD. You can watch it at home and still have a great time.
Yay. So listen, friends, we have some older movies that we're going to talk about this summer, and we also have some spoiler-free recommendations coming up. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.